They say death is final. They say you cannot change the past. They were wrong. In the heart of Shanghai, where glass towers pierce the clouds and money flows like the Huangpu River, there lived a woman named Li Hua. At 25 years old, she was the city's crown jewel, the sole heir to the Li Corporation, a business empire worth billions. Beautiful, intelligent, untouchable. On this particular morning, sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of her luxury bedroom, casting golden light across silk sheets. Li Hua stirred awake, her long dark hair spreading across the pillow like spilled ink. She rose gracefully and walked to her balcony, looking out at the sprawling city below. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A message from Chen, her fiancé. "Good morning, my love. Happy birthday tomorrow. I have something special planned." Li Hua smiled softly, her heart warming at his words. Tomorrow she would turn 25. Tomorrow her perfect life would become even more perfect. Or so she thought. But Li Hua did not know that tomorrow would not bring celebration. Tomorrow would bring death. Later that day, Li Hua sat in her executive office at Li Corporation headquarters. The massive desk before her was covered with documents requiring her signature. Her father had recently passed, and soon she would officially take over the entire empire. The door burst open with characteristic energy. Mei entered, her best friend since university days. She carried an expensive latte in one hand and wore a bright smile that had always seemed genuine. "There she is, the birthday girl." "Well, almost birthday girl," Mei announced cheerfully. Li Hua laughed. "Mei, my birthday is tomorrow." I know, but I could not wait to give you this." Mei pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a delicate jade bracelet, intricately carved with symbols of friendship and longevity. Li Hua lifted it from the box, genuinely touched by the gesture. "Mei, this is beautiful." Mei's eyes sparkled with what seemed to be affection. "We have been friends for 7 years. You deserve everything beautiful in this world." They embraced, and Li Hua felt grateful for this friendship. She had so few people she could truly trust in her position of wealth and power. Mei was one of them. "I do not know what I would do without you," Li Hua whispered. Mei's smile widened. "You will never have to find out." Those words would soon reveal their terrible irony. That evening, Li Hua sat across from Chen at Shanghai's most exclusive restaurant. Candlelight flickered between them, casting shadows that danced across the white tablecloth. Chen looked handsome in his tailored suit, every inch of the devoted fiancé. "You seem distracted tonight," Chen observed, reaching for her hand. Li Hua sighed. "Just thinking about the board meeting next week. Father's retirement becomes official. I will take over completely." Chen squeezed her hand reassuringly. "You have been preparing for this your whole life. You are ready." Li Hua searched his eyes. "Are you ready? To be married to the CEO of Li Corporation? The scrutiny will be intense." Chen's expression softened with what appeared to be genuine love. "Li Hua, I fell in love with you before I knew your last name, remember? That coffee shop near campus. You were just another student to me." Li Hua's features relaxed into a smile. "You spilled coffee all over my thesis notes." "Best mistake I ever made," Chen replied warmly. "I have never cared about your money. I care about you, just you." They shared a tender moment, hands intertwined across the table. "Tomorrow night," Chen continued, "your birthday party. I have everything arranged. It will be perfect." The next evening, Li Hua's family mansion transformed into a wonderland of celebration. Crystal chandeliers reflected light like captured stars. Champagne fountains bubbled endlessly. Shanghai's elite mingled in designer gowns and tailored suits, and at the center of it all stood Li Hua in a stunning red qipao dress, the traditional Chinese garment hugging her figure elegantly. She moved through the crowd, accepting birthday wishes with grace. But the attention overwhelmed her. She needed air. She needed space. Mei appeared at her elbow as if summoned by thought. In her hands, she carried 2 crystal champagne flutes, bubbles rising through the golden liquid. "There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you," Mei said with bright enthusiasm. "This party is overwhelming. So many people." "Well, you only turned 25 once. Come, Chen is looking for you. He is in the garden. But first, a toast. Just us, before the madness continues." Li Hua took the glass, raising it toward her friend. "To friendship." Mei's smile flickered for just a fraction of a second. "To friendship and to getting what we deserve." The glasses chimed as they touched. Li Hua brought the champagne to her lips and drank deeply. Mei barely sipped hers. Li Hua frowned. "That tastes strange." "It's French," Mei explained quickly. "Very expensive, very rare." Then the room tilted. Li Hua's vision blurred at the edges. Her legs suddenly felt weak, as if their bones had turned to water. "Mei," Li Hua whispered, "I do not feel well." Mei's expression changed. The warmth drained from her eyes, replaced with something cold and calculating. "Of course you don't." Mei guided the stumbling Li Hua away from the party, down a quiet corridor to a private study. Li Hua's mind screamed warnings, but her body would not respond. The poison was already working through her system. The study door closed behind them with a final click. Chen was already there, waiting. But the loving fiancé was gone. In his place stood a stranger with cruel eyes and a twisted smile. "Chen?" Li Hua's voice was barely audible. "What is happening?" Chen knelt before her as she collapsed into a leather chair. His face came close to hers, close enough that she could see the malice in his eyes. "What is happening?" he repeated mockingly. "You are dying, Li Hua." The words hit her like physical blows. Her eyes widened in horror and disbelief. "What? No, this cannot—" Mei walked behind Chen, placing her hand possessively on his shoulder. The gesture was intimate, familiar. It spoke of countless other moments when they had touched this way. "Oh, but it can," Mei said coldly, "and it is." Li Hua stared at that hand on Chen's shoulder. Understanding crashed over her like a wave of ice water. "You two?" "For 3 years now," Chen confirmed with satisfaction. "Did you really think I could love someone as cold as you? You were just a means to an end." Mei leaned down, her face inches from Li Hua's. "All those late nights you spent working, we were together. All those business trips, we were laughing at you, laughing at how easy it was to fool you." Li Hua tried to stand, but her body was paralyzed. Tears streamed down her face as the betrayal cut deeper than any knife. "Why?" she whispered. "I trusted you both. I loved you both." Chen pulled documents from his jacket, spreading them on the desk beside Li Hua's failing body. "Your trust was your weakness," he said coldly. "Tomorrow, the board officially transfers all power to you. You were supposed to sign the documents tonight, after the party." He tapped the papers with one finger. "But you're going to sign something else, a will leaving everything to your devoted husband, and naming your best friend, Mei, as executor." Mei's laugh was sharp and bitter. "We have thought of everything. The poison is undetectable. Heart failure, they will say. So tragic, so young, a life cut short by a weak heart." Li Hua's breathing became labored. Each breath was a struggle. "I gave you everything. My trust, my love, my friendship. And we're taking everything else," Mei replied without remorse. Chen grabbed Li Hua's hand roughly, forcing her fingers around a pen. She was too weak to resist. Her signature appeared on the documents, shaky and barely legible, but legal nonetheless. "There," Chen said with satisfaction. "All legal, all clean. By this time tomorrow, everything you own will be ours." Li Hua's eyes were darkening at the edges. Her lungs struggled for air. But through the physical pain, rage burned in her heart. "If there is a heaven, if there is justice, I will come back. I will destroy you both." Mei laughed cruelly. "There is no heaven for people like us, Li Hua. Only hell, and we're already there." Chen stood, looking down at his dying wife without an ounce of compassion. "Goodbye, wife." Mei joined him. "Goodbye, best friend." Li Hua's eyes closed. Her breathing stopped. The world faded to black. She was dead at 25, murdered by the two people she loved most. Darkness, absolute and complete. No sound, no light, no sensation, just an endless void where time had no meaning. In this emptiness, Li Hua's consciousness floated. Is this death? Is this all that remains? But something stirred within her. Not acceptance, not peace. Rage, pure burning rage. She could not accept this ending, not when they won, not when they got everything, not when justice remained unserved. In the darkness, she screamed without a voice. "I want revenge. I want justice. I want them to suffer as I suffered." And as if the universe heard her desperate plea, something shifted. A pulse of light appeared in the void. Then another, and another. The pulses grew faster, brighter, until they merged into a blinding white light that consumed everything. "Give me another chance," Li Hua's soul pleaded. "Please, just one more chance." The light exploded. Li Hua gasped awake with a violent scream, shooting upright in bed. Her sweat drenched her silk nightgown. Her hands clutched at her chest, feeling for the poison's effects, expecting death's cold touch. But her heart beat strong and steady. Air filled her lungs easily. She was breathing. She was alive. "This is impossible," she whispered to the empty room. She looked around wildly. Everything was familiar, yet wrong. This was her bedroom, her bed, her furniture. But something was different. Li Hua stumbled to the window, her legs shaky beneath her. Outside, cherry blossoms bloomed in her garden, their pink petals floating on the morning breeze. "The cherry blossoms," she breathed. "They only bloom in April." With trembling hands, she grabbed her phone from the nightstand. The date on the screen made her knees weak. April 15th. 1 year before her birthday. 1 year before her death. "This cannot be real," Li Hua said, her voice rising with hysteria. "I died. I felt myself die. I felt the poison. I felt my heart stop." She touched her face, her arms, her chest. Everything was solid, real, alive. She was healthy, young, breathing. They say death is final. They say you cannot change the past. They were wrong. Li Hua walked slowly to her full-length mirror. Her reflection stared back, but she barely recognized the woman she saw. This was her body, her face, but the eyes were different, harder, knowing. "You were weak," she said to her reflection. "You were trusting. You were a fool." She leaned closer, her breath fogging the glass. "But I am not that woman anymore. I have seen the truth. I know what they will do, and this time I will be ready." Her phone buzzed, a text from Chen. "Good morning, beautiful. Coffee this afternoon?" Li Hua's jaw clenched. Her fingers tightened around the phone until her knuckles turned white. But then slowly, deliberately, she forced herself to relax. She typed out a response with a cold, calculated smile. "Of course, I cannot wait to see you." She sent the message and set down the phone. Looking back at her reflection, Li Hua made a silent vow. In that moment, Li Hua transformed. She was no longer the naive heiress who believed in love and friendship. She was a woman who had died and returned with knowledge that would change everything. She would not confront them directly. She would not tip her hand. Instead, she would be patient, strategic, ruthless. This time, she would not be the victim. This time, she would win. That afternoon, Li Hua sat in the same coffee shop where she had met Chen countless times before. But everything looked different now. Every smile seemed like a mask. Every word seemed like a potential lie. Chen arrived, all charm and warmth. He leaned down to kiss her cheek, and it took every ounce of Li Hua's self-control not to recoil. "You seem different today," Chen observed as they sat down. Li Hua forced a smile. "Different how?" "I do not know, more intense." She leaned forward, playing her role perfectly. "I have been thinking about us, about our future." Chen took her hand, his touch making her skin crawl. "I think about that every day." But inside, Li Hua's thoughts were ice cold. She studied him with new eyes, every gesture, every expression, looking for the cracks in his facade, and she found them. The way his smile did not quite reach his eyes, the slight hesitation before each declaration of love, the calculation behind every word. How did I miss this before? How was I so blind? "Chen," said Li Hua aloud, "I want to ask you something, and I need you to be honest." For just a fraction of a second, his expression flickered. Fear? Guilt? Then it was gone, replaced with concern. "Of course, anything." "Do you love me for who I am, or for what I have?" Chen laughed, but to her new ears it sounded hollow. "Li Hua, where is this coming from? You know I love you, just you." She smiled, but inside she was noting everything. The slight sweat on his brow, the way his hand tightened around hers, the overemphasis on his words. "I know, I'm sorry, just feeling insecure." "You have nothing to be insecure about. You're perfect." Perfect. The perfect victim. The perfect fool. Not anymore. The next day, Li Hua was working in her office when Mei burst through the door with her usual exuberance. "There's my favorite workaholic," Mei announced cheerfully. Li Hua looked up, and every muscle in her body tensed. This woman poisoned me. This woman laughed as I died. Every instinct screamed at her to attack, to accuse, to expose. But she forced herself to smile. "Mei, what a surprise." "I brought lunch. I know you always skip meals when you're busy." Mei set down a takeout bag, unpacking containers of food. Li Hua stared at the food. Is it starting already? Is this the first test? Would she poison me a year early? "You're too good to me," Li Hua said carefully. "That's what best friends do," Mei replied with a warm smile that Li Hua now saw as completely false. "I'm actually not very hungry. Big breakfast." Mei's eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly. "You never eat big breakfasts." Li Hua maintained her smile, though her heart raced. Trying something new. For a moment, tension crackled between them. Then Mei laughed. "Well, when you get hungry, it'll be here." After Mei left, Li Hua immediately pushed the food away, her hands trembling. She could not risk anything, not yet, not until she had gathered all the evidence she needed. That night, Li Hua sat alone in her apartment with a glass of wine. Around her were scattered photographs from her phone, images of her, Chen, and Mei, smiling, happy, all lies. She opened a new notebook and began to write. At the top of the page, timeline, evidence, allies. They're together now. They're planning now. I need to know everything, every meeting, every lie, every secret. She tapped her pen against the paper, thinking hard. I need people I can trust. But who can I trust when the two closest people to me are my murderers? Then it came to her. Her father's old advisors, men and women who had been loyal to the Li family for decades. They had no allegiance to Chen or Mei. Li Hua wrote a name. Uncle Zhang, head of security. Uncle Zhang had worked for her father for 30 years. He was stern, loyal, and incorruptible. If anyone could help her, it was him. The next morning, Li Hua sat in Uncle Zhang's security office. The older man, in his 60s, with sharp eyes and a military bearing, listened carefully as she spoke. Uncle Zhang, I need to ask you something confidential. Of course, Miss Li, I have your complete discretion. She took a deep breath. I need you to have someone followed.
discreetly. Uncle Jiang raised his eyebrow but kept his expression neutral. Who? Li Hua met his eyes steadily. My fiancé, Chen Wei. For a long moment, Uncle Jiang said nothing. Then he leaned back in his chair. May I ask why? I have reasons to believe he may not be entirely truthful about his activities. Uncle Jiang nodded slowly. Miss Li, I must tell you something. I have never liked him. Li Hua's eyes widened in surprise. What? Your father had concerns too, before he passed, but you seemed happy, so we said nothing. Li Hua's voice caught with emotion. What kind of concerns? His background, his finances, nothing concrete, but things that did not add up. He appeared in your life very conveniently right when your father began to decline in health. Li Hua's hands trembled as the implications sank in. Then help me to uncover the truth, all of it. Uncle Jiang stood, his expression resolute. It will be done, Miss Li. And, Miss Li, trust your instincts. They are clearly trying to tell you something. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks of Li Hua playing her role perfectly. Loving fiancé to Chen, devoted friend to Mei. But every night she worked with Uncle Jiang, building a case. On the 15th night, her phone rang at 11 p.m. Uncle Jiang's voice was grave. Miss Li, we have something. You need to see this.
20 minutes later, Li Hua sat in Uncle Jiang's office, staring at photographs spread across his desk. Chen and Mei, together, kissing, entering hotels, leaving together. The evidence was damning and undeniable. How long? Li Hua asked, though she already knew the answer. At least 8 months, perhaps longer. Li Hua's hands shook, but not from sadness, from rage, pure, burning rage. Is there more? Uncle Jiang pulled out financial records. Chen Wei has significant gambling debts, almost 2 million yuan. He owes money to some very dangerous people. He slid another file across the desk. And Mei has been embezzling from your personal accounts, small amounts, nothing you would notice during normal audits. But enough, Li Hua finished coldly, to fund their lifestyle together. Exactly. Uncle Jiang studied her carefully. Ms. Li, I must ask, what do you want to do with this information? Li Hua stood and walked to the window, looking out at Shanghai's glittering skyline. When she spoke, her voice was ice. I want to destroy them, completely, utterly. I want them to lose everything, just as they planned for me to lose. Revenge is a dangerous path, Uncle Jiang warned. Li Hua turned to face him, and he saw something in her eyes that made him step back. A darkness, a certainty, a knowledge of things that should not be known. Not revenge, Uncle Jiang, justice. Over the following weeks, Li Hua became someone new. By day, she played the role of loving fiancé and trusting friend, but by night, she built her fortress. She met with lawyers, restructuring her company's bylaws. She met with financial advisors, moving assets into protected trusts. She gathered evidence, documented everything, and prepared for the confrontation that would come. One evening, she invited Chen to dinner at Shanghai's most exclusive restaurant. Candlelight, wine, romance, all a carefully constructed stage. You have been different lately, Chen observed. Happier. Li Hua smiled, the expression never reaching her eyes. I am. I've been thinking about our future, about marriage. Chen's eyes lit up with greed, poorly disguised as love. Really? Yes. In fact, I want to accelerate our timeline. Why wait? Let us get married soon, before my birthday next year. Chen took her hand, unable to hide his excitement. Li Hua, you have made me the happiest man alive. And Li Hua smiled, knowing that his happiness was about to be shattered into 1,000 irreparable pieces. Later that same night, Chen rushed to Mei's apartment. She answered the door in a silk robe, her expression immediately concerned. Well, she demanded, what did she want? Chen grinned widely. She wants to move up the wedding. She is accelerating everything. Mei's face paled. That is too fast. We are not ready yet. The plan was to wait until after her birthday, after the board transfer. Chen pulled her close, kissing him possessively.
It is perfect. Once we are married, I have legal claim to everything. We can move forward with our plan earlier than expected. May pulled back, her eyes troubled. What about me? What happens to me in all this? Chen stroked her face. You will have everything we promised. Money, freedom, each other. Just be patient a little longer. May kissed him deeply. I have been patient for almost a year. Pretending to be her friend makes me sick. The way she trusts me, the way she confides in me. Soon, very soon, we will never have to pretend again. But what they did not know was that in a car parked across the street, a private investigator captured every word, every kiss, every incriminating moment on camera. Li Hua sat in a law office with 3 of Shanghai's most feared attorneys. Documents covered the conference table. Ms. Li, these changes to your corporate structure are highly unusual. I don't care if they are unusual, Li Hua replied coldly. I care if they are legal. They are legal, but they effectively lock out anyone from accessing company assets without board approval, even a spouse. Especially a spouse, Li Hua corrected. My father built this company over 40 years. I will not let it fall into the wrong hands. The second lawyer pushed forward another document. And the prenuptial agreement? Ironclad, Li Hua stated firmly. In the event of divorce or death, my spouse receives nothing from the Li Corporation or my personal fortune. Nothing. The third lawyer looked concerned. Ms. Li, he would have to sign this before the wedding. Most men would refuse such terms. Li Hua's smile was cold and knowing. He will sign it, or there will be no wedding. Li Hua stood in her apartment that night, looking at the evidence spread across her dining table. Photographs, financial records, legal documents, recordings, everything she needed to destroy them. But a small part of her hesitated. These were the 2 people she had loved most in the world. Could she really do this? Then she remembered. She remembered the poison burning through her veins. She remembered May's cruel laughter. She remembered Chen forcing her dying hand to sign away everything. She remembered the feeling of her heart stopping. Her hesitation vanished. She picked up her phone and sent 2 messages. To Chen, dinner at my family mansion tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Important discussion about our future. To May, can you come to the mansion tomorrow, 7 p.m.? I need you there for something special. Both replied quickly with agreement. Li Hua set down her phone and looked at her reflection in the darkened window. Tomorrow, she whispered, tomorrow you both get what you deserve. The next evening, Li Hua's family mansion was quiet. No party, no guests, just 3 people gathering in the elegant dining room. Chan arrived first, handsome in a tailored suit, smiling with anticipation. May came moments later, dressed beautifully, her expression warm and friendly. Thank you both for coming, Li Hua began, her voice calm. There is something I want to discuss. Of course, Chen said warmly. What is it? Li Hua pulled out 2 folders, setting them on the table with deliberate care. Chen, as we discussed, I want to move forward with our wedding, but first there is a prenuptial agreement you need to sign. Chen's smile faltered just slightly. A prenup? Li Hua, I thought we trusted each other. This is not about trust, Li Hua replied calmly. This is about protecting my family's legacy. Surely you understand. May jumped in, her voice concerned. Li Hua, this seems excessive. Chen loves you. He's not after your money. Li Hua turned to May with a cold smile. I don't recall asking your opinion on my marriage, May. The temperature in the room dropped. May's expression hardened. I'm your best friend. I'm trying to protect you. Li Hua laughed, but it was bitter and hollow. Protect me? Is that what you call it? The atmosphere shifted. Tension crackled like electricity before a storm. Chen, said Li Hua slowly, what is going on? Li Hua stood, walking to a sideboard where she had placed a large envelope. I think you know exactly what is going on. Both of you. She opened the envelope and pulled out photographs. One by one, she threw them on the table. Chen and May kissing, Chen and May entering hotels, Chen and May in intimate embraces. Chen and May froze, their faces going pale. Li Hua, this is not what it looks like, May started, her voice shaking. Not what it looks like, Li Hua yelled with barely contained rage. You're kissing my fiancé. You're in hotel rooms with him. What exactly does it look like? Chen stood, raising his hands. Let me explain. Explain what? Li Hua shouted. That you've been sleeping with my best friend for 8 months? That you have gambling debts of 2 million won? That she has been stealing from me? Mei's face went white. How did I find out? Li Hua laughed harshly. Because I'm not the stupid, trusting fool you thought I was. Chen's mask finally dropped. The loving fiancé disappeared, replaced by someone cold and calculating. When did you know? Li Hua stared at him, seeing the monster beneath the handsome face. Does it matter? I know now, and I know what you planned to do. Mei's eyes filled with tears. Li Hua, please, I can explain everything. It was a mistake. I was weak. I never meant to hurt you. You never meant to hurt me? Li Hua's voice was deadly quiet. You were my friend, my sister. I trusted you everything. My secrets, my fears, my dreams, and you betrayed it all. I know. I'm so sorry, Mei sobbed. Sorry. Don't waste your breath, Mei. She's already made up her mind about us. Chen turned to Li Hua, his expression vicious. You think you've won? You think exposing us changes anything? Li Hua pulled out more documents from her folders. I don't think I've won. I know I've won. She slid papers across the table. Your gambling debts? Paid off by me, which means those loan sharks now work for me. They're prepared to testify about your debts, your threats, everything. She turned to Mei. Your embezzlement? Documented. Every transaction, every account. I could have you arrested right now. Mei collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Please, Li Hua, please don't do this. Why? Because we're friends? We're not friends, Mei. We never were. You were just waiting for the right moment to stab me in the back.
Chin's face twisted with hatred. You self-righteous bitch. You think you are so much better than us? You were born into wealth. You did nothing to earn it. You do not deserve what you have. Li Hua's eyes blazed. And you will do nothing to take it. She walked to the door and opened it. Uncle Zhang stood there with 2 security guards. Escort them out, Li Hua commanded. Both of them. They are banned from all Li properties, permanently. The security guards moved forward. Chin struggled as they grabbed his arms. This is not over, he shouted. You hear me? This is not over. You will regret this. Mei reached out desperately. Li Hua, please. I am sorry. I am so sorry. Get them out of my sight, Li Hua said coldly. As the guards dragged Chen and Mei away, their protests echoing through the mansion, Li Hua stood alone in the dining room. She trembled, but not from fear, from the weight of what she had done, from the finality of it. She had exposed them, protected herself, won. So why did she feel so empty? That night, Li Hua sat on her bed, staring at nothing. Uncle Zhang knocked softly and entered when she did not respond. Miss Li, he said gently, are you all right? Li Hua's voice was hollow. I should feel victorious. I exposed them. I protected myself. Why do I feel so empty? Uncle Zhang sat in a chair near her bed. Because revenge, even justified revenge, comes at a cost. You lost people you loved. I lost my fiancé. I lost my best friend, Li Hua whispered. Yes, they betrayed me, but I still lost them. You lost people who were never truly yours to begin with, Uncle Zhang said wisely. What you gained is far more valuable. What did I gain? The truth, your safety, your future. Li Hua looked at him, tears streaming down her face. In my heart, I knew this moment was coming. I've known for weeks, but it still hurts. That is because you have a good heart, Uncle Zhang replied, and that is why you will heal, while they will remain broken. 1 week later, Li Hua sat in a police station with detectives providing all the evidence she had gathered against Mei for embezzlement. Miss Li, the lead detective said, reviewing the documents, with this evidence we can prosecute. She will likely face significant prison time. Li Hua stared at the papers for a long moment. Then she looked up. I want to make a deal. The detective raised his eyebrows. What kind of deal?
Drop the criminal charges if she agrees to 3 conditions. First, she leaves Shanghai permanently. Second, she pays back every yuan she stole with interest. Third, she signs a legal agreement never to contact me or my family again. The second detective leaned forward. That is very generous, Miss Li. Most people in your position would want to see her imprisoned. Li Hua's voice was quiet but firm. She was my friend once. Even if it was all a lie, I cannot completely destroy her, but I can make sure she never has the chance to hurt anyone else I care about. 3 days later, Li Hua met Mei one last time in a small coffee shop far from the city center. Mei looked broken. Her designer clothes were replaced with simple attire. Her perfect makeup was absent. She looked 10 years older. They sat across from each other in silence for a long moment. Finally, Mei spoke. "Why are you doing this, offering me a way out instead of prison?" Li Hua's voice was emotionless. "Because I'm not like you. I am not cruel." Mei's tears began to fall. "I never meant it for it to go so far. It started as just flirting. I was jealous of you, of everything you had. Your money, your looks, your intelligence, everything came so easily to you. So you decided to take it?" asked Li Hua. "I convinced myself you did not deserve it," she admitted, her voice breaking, "that it was just luck you were born into that family. I told myself I deserved those things more because I had worked harder. I know now how stupid that was." Li Hua leaned forward. "And what did you learn, Mei?" Her shoulders shook with sobs. "That I destroyed the only real friendship I ever had. For a man who has already moved on to his next victim. For money that will never fill the emptiness inside me. I ruined everything for nothing." Li Hua stood to leave. Mei reached out, but Li Hua stepped back. "Li Hua," pleaded Mei, "I know you will never forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I am truly, deeply sorry for everything." Li Hua looked at her former friend one last time. "Goodbye, Mei." Narrator. Li Hua walked out of the coffee shop and never looked back. That evening, Li Hua found herself at a luxury hotel bar. She hadn't planned to come here, but somehow her feet had carried her to this place. And there, at the bar, sat Qin. He was drinking heavily, his expensive suit rumpled and stained. He looked up when she approached, and his eyes were red blood. "Come to gloat?" he slurred. Li Hua sat on the stool beside him. "No, I came to understand." Qin laughed bitterly. "Understand what? Why you did it? Was it always about the money?" Qin drained his glass and signaled for another. "You want the truth? Fine. Yes, it was always about the money. From the very first moment I accidentally spilled coffee on you. All planned, all calculated." He turned to face her. "You were boring, Li Hua. Cold. All business. No passion. No fire. Mei was exciting, passionate, and together we could have had everything." "You had my love," Li Hua said quietly. "Was that not enough?" Qin's expression turned cruel. "Your love? You loved your company more than you ever loved me. I was just another acquisition to you, another asset to manage." Li Hua felt the words hit her, and for a moment she wondered if there was truth in them. Had she been too focused on business? Too cold? But then she remembered the poison, the forced signature, the laughter as she died. "You are right," she said, standing. "I did love my work, because my work never lied to me, never betrayed me, never plotted to murder me." Qin's eyes widened. "Murder you?" he said quickly. "What are you talking about?" Li Hua realized she had said too much. She had almost revealed the truth about her death and rebirth. "The prenup, the marriage, it would have killed my spirit, destroyed everything my father built." Qin stood unsteadily. "You think you are so smart, so untouchable, but you will die alone, rich, powerful, and completely alone. That's your future." Li Hua looked at him with pity. Better alone than surrounded by vipers. She turned and walked away, leaving Qin to his drinks and his bitterness. 6 months passed, 6 months of healing, 6 months of change. Li Hua stood before the board of directors in Li Corporation's main conference room. She wore a power suit, her hair pulled back elegantly, her presence commanding. "Gentlemen, ladies," she addressed the board, "this quarter's profits have exceeded all projections by 18%. Our international expansion into Southeast Asia is ahead of schedule. Li Corporation is stronger than it has ever been in its 40-year history. The board members applauded. One of the senior directors, a man who had worked with her father, stood. "Miss Li, your father would be proud of what you have accomplished. You have not just maintained his legacy, you have elevated it." Li Hua felt emotion well up, but maintained her composure. "Thank you. That means everything to me." After the meeting, Li Hua returned to her office. Uncle Zhang was waiting with a report. "The surveillance you requested," he said, handing her a folder. "Qin Wei was arrested last night for assault following a bar fight. His gambling bets have caught up with him. Without your protection, the loan sharks are collecting." Li Hua nodded. "And Mei?" "She left Shanghai 3 days ago, headed to a small city in the countryside. She's working as a teacher now, living quietly." Li Hua set down the report. "Good, then it is truly over." That evening, Li Hua attended a charity gala for children's hospitals. She wore an elegant gown and moved through the crowd with grace, but she was alone. No date, no companion. A handsome man in his early 30s approached him. He had kind eyes and an honest smile. "Miss Li," he said respectfully, "I'm Zhao Min. I run a technology startup focused on educational software. I've been hoping to meet you." Li Hua studied him carefully, her new instincts immediately analyzing every detail. "Mr. Zhao, what can I do for you?" Zhao Min smiled. "Actually, I was hoping to discuss a potential partnership between your corporation's foundation and my company. We create learning tools for underprivileged children. But I realize this is a social event. Perhaps coffee sometime?" Li Hua's first instinct was to refuse, to keep everyone at arm's length, to never trust again. But then she saw something in his eyes. Not calculation, not greed, just genuine enthusiasm for his work. "Perhaps," she said cautiously, "have your people contact my office." Zhao Min's smile widened. "Fair enough. Enjoy your evening, Miss Li." He walked away without pushing further, without trying to charm her, without the manipulation she had learned to expect. Li Hua watched him go, surprised to find herself curious about him. Maybe she thought, not everyone is a Qin or a Mei. Maybe someday I can trust again.
Late that night, Li Hua stood on her apartment balcony, looking out at Shanghai's glittering skyline. The city sprawled before her like a sea of lights, each one representing a life, a story, a journey. She held a glass of wine and closed her eyes, feeling the cool breeze on her face. Had it been real? Had she truly died and returned? Or had it been some kind of premonition, a warning from her subconscious mind? She had spent months wondering, but ultimately, she decided it did not matter. What mattered was that she had recognized the danger. She had protected herself. She had survived. Her phone buzzed with a news alert. Former socialite Mei Lin completes restitution agreement, relocates from Shanghai. Another alert followed. Chen Wei sentenced to 18 months for assault and fraud related to unpaid debts. Li Hua set down her phone and looked back at the city. "They got what they deserved," she said to the night. "Not from my hand, not from my revenge, but from their own choices, their own greed, their own emptiness." And in that moment, Li Hua felt the weight lift from her shoulders. She had spent so long carrying rage and hurt, but now, finally, she could let it go. She had won, not by destroying them, but by refusing to be destroyed. 1 year later, on Li Hua's 25th birthday, she woke up in her bed without fear. The sun streamed through her windows, cherry blossoms bloomed in her garden, but this time there was no dread, no terror. This was the day she had died in another life, or in a dream, or in a vision. Whatever it had been, it was past. Uncle Zhang arrived at her office that morning with a small gift. "Happy birthday, Miss Li." Li Hua smiled genuinely. "Thank you, Uncle Zhang." "No party this year?" he asked, knowing the answer. Li Hua looked out her window at the city. "No, quiet celebrations from now on. Just the people I trust. A small dinner with you and a few close associates." "A wise choice," Uncle Zhang agreed. He set down the gift and turned to leave, but paused at the door. "Miss Li, your father once told me that the greatest strength is not avoiding betrayal, it is surviving it and becoming wiser." Li Hua felt tears prick her eyes. "He said that?" "He did, and you have honored his memory by doing exactly that. You survived, you grew stronger, You became wiser. He would be so proud of you." After Uncle Zhang left, Li Hua opened the gift. Inside was a photo of her father smiling at the camera during happier times. She picked it up, running her fingers over his face. "I did it, Father. I protected what you built. I protected myself. I survived." Li Hua walked to her desk calendar. There, circled in red, was today's date, the day she had died. She picked up a pen and drew a large X through the circle. Then she wrote one word: survived. She had rewritten her destiny. Whether through supernatural intervention or sheer force of will, she had changed her fate. The day that should have been her death had become a celebration of life. Over the following months, Li Hua found herself spending more time with Zhou Min. Their business partnership had blossomed into something more: friendship, understanding, perhaps even the beginning of something deeper. They sat in a coffee shop one afternoon, the conversation flowing easily between them. This was their 11th meeting in 3 months, and Li Hua realized she looked forward to these moments. "You know," Zhou Min said carefully, "you never talk about your past relationships." Li Hua's guard immediately went up, but then she saw the genuine curiosity in his eyes. Not prying, just interested. "I was engaged once," she said slowly. "It did not work out." "His loss," Zhou Min replied simply. Li Hua studied him. "Zhou Min, can I ask you something? Anything? Why are you interested in me? And please, be honest. I need honesty." Zhou Min set down his coffee cup, meeting her eyes directly. "Honestly, yes, at first I wanted a business connection. Your corporation is powerful and I needed support for my project. I will not pretend otherwise." Li Hua appreciated his candor. "But then I met you," Zhou Min continued. "Really met you, and I saw someone brilliant. Guarded, yes. Cautious, certainly. But also someone strong. Someone who has been hurt but refuses to be broken. Someone who cares deeply about making a difference, even if she hides it behind business language." He leaned forward. "I do not know what happened to you, but I want to know the real you. Not Li Corporation, not the heiress, just Li Hua." Li Hua felt her carefully constructed walls crack just a little. This man was not Chen. He was honest about his initial motivations. He did not pretend to be something he was not. "That might take time," she said softly. Zhou Min smiled warmly. "I have time, as much time as you need." That night, Li Hua sat at her desk with a leather-bound journal. She had started writing in it months ago, documenting everything that had happened, or everything she remembered happening. She wrote, "They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but I learned something different. Revenge is not about destroying others, it's about refusing to be destroyed. I was given something impossible. Whether it was a second chance at life, a prophetic dream, or a warning from the universe, it saved me, and I will not waste it. Chen and Mei wanted my empire, they wanted my death. Instead, they lost everything, not because I destroyed them, but because their own greed and cruelty destroyed them. I simply made sure they couldn't hurt anyone else. I am 25 years old. I am alive. I am successful, and I am learning to trust again, to hope again, to believe that not everyone is a monster in disguise." She paused, looking out at the Shanghai skyline. "Zhou Min is different. I can feel it. He's honest, kind, real. Maybe I can have love again. Maybe I can have friendship again. But this time, I will be wiser. This time, I will protect my heart while still allowing it to heal." Li Hua's phone rang, an unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello?" A woman's voice, broken and small. "Li Hua, it is Mei." Li Hua's entire body tensed. "You agreed never to contact me." I know, I am sorry. I needed to tell you something." Silence stretched between them. "I am dying," Mei said quietly. "Cancer, stage 4. The doctors say I have maybe 6 months." Li Hua felt no satisfaction, no joy, just a hollow emptiness. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I wanted you to know that you were right about everything. I spent the last year living in poverty, working with children, trying to make amends for what I did. And in that time, I learned something.
What? That you were the best person in my life, the only person who truly cared about me, and I destroyed that for nothing, for money I never got, for a man who never loved me, for greed that brought me only misery. May's voice broke. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that you were a good friend, and I was not worthy of your friendship. The line went dead. Li Hua sat holding her phone for a long time. She felt tears streaming down her face, but she wasn't sure if they were for May, for herself, or for the friendship that might have been real if May had made different choices. Finally, she called Uncle Zhang. "Find out where May is," she said quietly, "and arrange for her medical bills to be paid, anonymously." "Miss Li, after what she did." "Just do it, Uncle Zhang. She's dying. I will not let her die in pain and poverty, no matter what she did to me." Because that was who Li Hua was. Not someone who reveled in the suffering of others, but someone who chose mercy even when vengeance would be justified. 3 years after the day Li Hua should have died, Li Hua stood in a hospital room, but this time the circumstances were very different. She held a newborn baby in her arms, her daughter, perfect, beautiful, healthy. Zhou Min, now her husband, sat beside her bed, his eyes shining with tears of joy. "What should we name her?" he asked softly. Li Hua looked down at her daughter's tiny face. "Xin Sang." Zhou Min nodded slowly. "New life. It is perfect." Li Hua kissed her daughter's forehead gently. "You will never know betrayal the way I did. I promise you that. You will be loved, protected, cherished, but also taught to be strong, to trust your instincts, to value yourself." She looked up at Zhou Min, her eyes filled with gratitude and love. "Thank you for giving me another chance of happiness, for being patient with me, for being real." Zhou Min took her hand. "You gave yourself that chance, Li Hua, when you chose to survive instead of surrender, when you chose wisdom instead of bitterness. I am just lucky enough to share your life." They sat together as a family, looking at their daughter. In the window's reflection, Shanghai's skyline glittered in the distance. Li Hua had been given an impossible gift, a second chance. Whether it came from fate, the universe, or her own subconscious, it saved her life. And she had used that gift wisely. She had protected herself, exposed those who betrayed her, built an empire, found love again, and now she held the future in her arms. Chen was serving time in prison, his gambling debts and crimes catching up to him. May had passed away 6 months ago, her medical bills paid, her final days comfortable thanks to Li Hua's anonymous generosity. And Li Hua? She had everything that mattered. Not just wealth or power, but love, family, peace. She had rewritten her destiny.
And the story she wrote was one of strength, wisdom, and ultimately, grace. 5 years after the day she died in another life, Li Hua stood in her garden, watching her daughter Xin Shang play among the cherry blossoms. The little girl laughed as pink petals fell around her like snow. Zhou Min joined Li Hua, wrapping his arm around her waist. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. Li Hua smiled. About how different this day could have been, about the path not taken. "Regrets?" "No," she said firmly. "No regrets. Everything that happened made me who I am today. The betrayal taught me wisdom. The death I escaped taught me to value life. The second chance taught me mercy." She watched her daughter's joyful dance. "I am exactly where I am supposed to be." Zhou Min kissed her temple. "I love you, Li Hua. I love you too." And as Li Hua stood there in the garden, surrounded by cherry blossoms and love, she finally let go of the last remnants of her pain. She had been betrayed. She had died. She had been reborn. And in that rebirth, she had become someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than she ever could have been without walking through fire. They say what does not kill you makes you stronger. For Li Hua, death itself made her stronger. And now, alive and thriving, she would make sure that every day of this second life was lived to its fullest, not in revenge,
not in bitterness, but in love, in purpose, in joy. She had rewritten her destiny, and the story she wrote was beautiful. Thank you for experiencing Li Hua's incredible journey from betrayal to triumph, from death to rebirth, from victim to victor. Her story reminds us that we all have the power to rewrite our destinies, that betrayal does not define us, that second chances, whether literal or metaphorical, should never be wasted. If this story moved you, if Li Hua's strength inspired you, if you believe in the power of resilience and redemption, then Passion Haven is your destination for more powerful stories like this. Every week, we bring you complete emotional dramas that touch your heart, ignite your soul, and remind you why storytelling matters. Subscribe to Passion Haven now. Hit that like button if Li Hua's journey resonated with you. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this story of strength and survival. And tell us in the comments, what would you do with a second chance? How would you rewrite your destiny?